Hi, my name is Bárbara Faria, and I'm a PhD student at the School of Civil Engineering, Architecture, and Urban Design at UNICAMP. My advisor is Professor Raquel Zuanon, and the working title of this research is Landscape Design Neurosciences, Application of Homeodynamic Landscape Design in CAISM-UNICAMP and its contributions to the biological homeostasis of nursing professionals. This research is based on cooperation between fields of architecture and cognitive behavioral neurosciences, especially supported by the concept of homeodynamic environments and products to analyze design elements and their relationship with the human beings, with a view to the biological homeostasis. The research is circumscribed in the investigation and contributions of landscape design to the homeodynamic balance of the nursing staff bodies, which work at the Center for Integral Attention to Women, CAISM-UNICAMP. This structure is supported by the fatigue, both physical and mental, that these individuals face, which is exacerbated by the impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Here we have the context of CAISM-UNICAMP, inaugurated in March 1986. CAISM has a staff of around 1,200 employees and attends an average of 250 births and 7,000 outpatient consultations per month. In the theoretical context, we can observe that studies relating the field of neurosciences to architectural practices began in the late 50s, where a specific case marks the first contact, when the physician and researcher Jonas Salk works in the search of the polio cure in Pittsburgh. During this process, he travels to Italy, where he spends time in a 13th century monastery. According to Salk, the architecture inspired new methods of reflection and research, leading the doctor to develop the polio vaccine. Salk assumed that his findings came from space contemplation and configuration. So convinced that the architecture could change the way human beings can act and think, Salk invited the architect Louis Kahn to build the Salk Institute in California with the purpose of stimulating science and encouraging creativity. Thus, in the 60s and 70s, there was a process of articulation between the fields of neuroscience and architecture, and questions emerged in the sense of developing new parameters that could be applied and discussed to determine the quality of buildings. In this scenario, neurosciences, specifically cognitive and behavioral neuroscience, provide concrete evidence that the character and quality of environments exert a profound and measurable influence on the brains of human beings. Since cognitive neurosciences that deals with the most complex mental capacities of the individual, such as language, self-awareness, and memory, and behavioral neurosciences is dedicated to studying the neurostructure that produce behavior and other psychological phenomena, such as emotion. What we can observe from theorists is that environment can collaborate in changing the structure of the brain, which consequently produces behavioral changes. These changes can be verified mainly in the context of health buildings, such as hospitals and clinics, where the space must be oriented to support recovery, treatment, or rehabilitation, in addition to offering healthy conditions for the patient, family members, and also the staff, in order to ensure the well-being and preserve the human organism's balance, that is, its homeostasis. A term proposed by Kennel in 1929 that conceptualizes the dynamic process of the organism's internal self-regulation, that aims to maintain its condition within a subtle, constant instability. Based on this context, neuroscience Antonio Damasio gives homeostasis a social-cultural dimension, where it's possible to understand architecture as a potential agent of cultural and social manifestations in history as a result of its relationship and constant exchanges with the individual or society in their different scales. From this perspective, the concept of homeodynamic environments stands out, which are spaces designed to act dynamically and constantly on the human organism, with a view to homeostatic balance, consequently, well being and health. In this sense, homeodynamic environments are assigned the role of preventive and restorative environments. Prevent environments seek to obtain and maintain health to achieve and preserve the balance of the body and mind. They are capable of stimulating body movements and focus on minimizing day-to-day stress, such as environments that provide contact with nature and are oriented to regulation of the circadian rhythm. And restorative environments aim to restore the health and well-being of debilitated organisms, both in their physical and mental spheres, where we can mention the role of hospitals in creating environments that contribute to a quick clinical recovery, which can help to reduce the length of hospital stays for the patient. What we can see is that the homeodynamic environment are linked to the concept from the architectural field, for example, the concept of humanization. In the public sphere, programs such as Humaniza-SUS propose a policy for the humanization of hospital buildings. The principles of humanization focus on the individual global needs, which implies guidelines aimed at healthy involvement between the person and the environment. Studies related to the context of architectural humanization presents contributions regarding to the designing elements and strategies such as environments personalization, natural elements such as plants and trees, water, sunlight, and natural ventilation. The presence of natural elements or landscape design are expressive within the concepts of humanization. This data reinforces the beneficial and intrinsic relationship between human beings and nature, as postulated by Wilson in his theory Biophilia. These inherent connections offer a supportive platform for internal regulation of the human body, especially when it's weakened. From this, the focus of this research is based on the consequent physical and mental burdens that the CAISM nursing staff faces while exposed to hospital environments for a long period. From that, the research objective is to establish a set of parameters to be applied in the landscape design of CAISM Hospital and to verify neuropsychophysiological responses of the human body and the potential contributions to the homeodynamic balance of the nursing staff bodies. With this research frame, the literature review has been carried out to verify analog investigations. It points out studies that circumscribe the scope of this research. However, most of them emerge from the areas of health knowledge and show a lack of research in Portuguese language. This scenario reinforces the relevance of Brazilian investigation, focusing on design recommendations that encompass specific parameters of climate, specimens, and culture, since all similar projects that emerge from the literature do not meet these attributes. The methodological approach comprises, in addition to the literature review, use of experimental protocol, field research, conducting semi-structured interviews, analysis, interpretation, and systematization of data collected in these steps, and a set of homeostasis-oriented design recommendations. Thank you so much for watching, and for any doubts or suggestion, here is our contact.